Pioneers of Pagonia. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of a legendary developer. The city builder Pioneers of Pagonia is all about exploration, discovery and reuniting the fantastical islands of Pagonia. Build over 40 different buildings, use more than 70 different types of goods, manage widely branched production chains and get creative in establishing your economy. Now guys, if you're going to use the word legend in video game actual design, I don't think you should, but if you are, then you have to kind of consider Volker Wirch, I don't know if I pronounced that right, as one of them. This is the guy who founded The Settlers, that amazing franchise that got absolutely wrecked by Ubisoft. But when it was good, this is the guy that actually made it. Settlers was a fantastic city builder. It birthed the city builder, to be honest with you. And it's just a shame that it's gone down the toilet now. The best Settlers, in my opinion, was easily 3 and 4. And Volker worked on 3, but not 4. And so I don't understand why he has created Pioneers of Pagonia not like Settlers 3, which is a lot of people's favourite. 3 and 4, I think you'll find are most people's favourites. Because what 3 and 4 brought to the table that no other Settlers game has done is armies. It brought the excitement of having to race to get the resources, to build up your army, to fortify your army, strengthen your army, and then just hope and pray that you had enough of them to go and take out the enemy or do a daring raid and steal his resources. It was great. I've got thousands of hours in Settlers 3. I've reviewed it on this channel as a retro review. You might want to go and check it out because it still does work and you can get it on Ubisoft. But that's by the by. This is Pioneers of Pagonia, and this, guys, is closer to Settlers than Settlers 7. That's true. It's true. This is more like the Settlers than Settlers 7, the latest Settlers game from Ubisoft. So what is this then? Well, let's start by looking at the menu, and this is early access. There's a roadmap. There's a lot coming, including co-op. I'm not going to go into the roadmap, but there is a lot of good stuff coming, but I will mention that co-op is one of them. Can't wait. So with this, you've got your basic kind of, well, let's call it a campaign, if you will. It's not so much a campaign. It's more of different types of maps with different kinds of objectives and difficulties, if you like. You can select any one you want. You don't have to unlock them. They're all sort of crafted maps. But then you can go into the seed area where you'll get procedurally generated maps, and you can change everything. The amount of resources you get, how flat the map is, how many mountains, lakes, rivers, whatever you want. And more importantly, enemies. Now this is the disappointment to me. It's the kind of enemies you get. You're not going to get anything like Settlers 3 and 4 in this at the moment. Whether that comes later on, fingers crossed, but I doubt it. What you do get is enemy camps. And they will do little kind of raids on your people, but it's more a case of just stealing resources like they did in Settlers 3. But you won't get the big army attacks. This is more kind of concentrating on the economy, on building. There's two types of city builders, put it this way. This is an easy way of putting it. There's two types of city builders. There's the Settlers 3 and 4 type with armies and all of the other stuff, such as the huge attention to detail on the buildings and micromanaging things. And then there's the sort of your foundations, your banished, which basically are you're fighting against the elements, or if you're not fighting against the elements, you're just basically building up a nice colony. This falls into the latter, I'm afraid. It's more of a kind of just build up a nice big city, but with more attention to detail than anything since the Settlers. And that's why this game is really good fun, because I've been ranting on about this for months, years, to be honest. In nearly every city builder that I've reviewed, I will mention the laziness of developers, how you don't get that Settlers feeling. You don't get the immersion of the farmer, for example, where he would plant the seed, you'll see the seed grow, then it'll get ripe, then he'll harvest the crop, take the wheat to the windmill, you'll see the miller take the wheat, crush it down, the windmill sails go around and then it makes a bag of flour. Then you'll take the bag of flour along with some water to the baker. You'll actually see them kneading and doing what they do to the bread, put it in the oven, and then voila, you have a loaf of bread. In most city builders, in fact nearly every city builder, you don't see any of that. you'll just see the end result. But in Settlers, you always saw that. And that's what made Settlers so great. And in Pioneers of Pagonia, they've took that to the... It's even better, guys, than it ever was in the Settlers. The attention to detail, just watching everybody at work, from the weaponsmith, the bakers, the stonemasons, the woodworkers, everything is just meticulous in detail. And it's a joy to watch and play. The immersion that you get of this is just insane. You start off on your ship as you kind of land. You've got a huge stockpile of things on your ship. You then just start building things on the island, and your crew start coming off the ship, bringing with them the resources. You start setting up woodcutters, sawmills, stonemasons, quarrymen, and then you expand your borders. Now, you expand your borders slightly different to Settlers, although the principle is the same. You build guard towers, the soldiers come out to the guard towers and they will expand. But in Settlers, it was just like an instant expansion. In this, they need boundary stones that are made through the stonemason, and they will gradually expand your borders, and you can tell them which way to expand. It's really neat, and I do prefer this method over the methods that we had back in the Settlers. So it is definitely worth playing this. If you're a Settlers fan, you will be right at home with this. You won't even need to go through a tutorial. It's all just kind of the same. You don't get quite the attention to detail that you did back in the 90s in Settlers, which I find astonishing considering technology, the way it's gone on. But you still had that more control back in the 90s over your economy, over the way you created soldiers and things like that. But this is a different type of game to that. It has different types of threats. For example, it has werewolves, and you need to get silver and create silver weaponry to defeat them. I don't want to spoil too much for you, because it is quite neat the way you uncover things. It's got monsters in it, whereas Settlers was all just about fighting other armies. So there is something new to this, and I think co-op's going to be a blast in this. I know I loved co-op in Settlers 3, so it's going to be really cool in this. It's just a shame for me that you don't have the... I think Settlers 3 would go down massively well now, because the reason I say that is because nobody else has done it. We've never had the like of a Settlers 3 game since Settlers 4. Everybody's gone down the banished anno route. It's like they're all kind of the same, and this does go down that route, albeit with more detail, and it's more... This is probably going to be, when it's finished, if the early access version is anything to go by, the best of that other type of city builder. I don't think there's anything going to beat this when it's all finished. It's going to be fantastic if you like that kind of city builder. But I prefer the Settlers 3-4 type, and I would love to see this with that. Even if it comes as a DLC later down the road, that would just be awesome, because it has everything else. And I've had a blast playing it, really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for it to come out. I'll re-review it once it's finished in 1, but my goodness, it brought back all the memories of playing a proper Settlers game, this did. So they've done a fantastic job of it. Really, really good game to play. The only problem is it's going to get stale fast without the armies that you had in Settlers 3 and 4, because it lacks that depth for me, which is a shame.